Here I am 1 week late to cover the Primal SMG. I promise I wasn't abandoning you guys. I wasn't taking a break or anything. I was actually attending New York City for the Go Fest event there for Pokemon Go. I was meeting with a bunch of friends, marching around the city, catching all the shinies I wanted and having a great time. But I scheduled that trip before the Primal weapons were even announced, and I don't get any information you guys don't get typically, and if I do, I tell you. So I planned my trip to leave on Wednesday, unwittingly, when the Primal SMG came out. So I was boarding a flight and flying away from home without my recording equipment when this came to the game, and then I got sick in my last day of New York City and couldn't record for the 2 days I've been home. So I'm finally here to talk about this weapon, feeling not great, but good enough to record, and we can finally check out this weapon. So thank you to being a week late. I've actually seen some footage. Thank you, Matteo and Archer, for posting those clips. I know that this weapon is pretty inaccurate. It has a pretty low fire rate, and it's got pretty solid perks and really high damage stats. So this is going to be a close range weapon with a lot of spray, a lot of bloom, and pretty solid damage if you can stay up close. And we're going to be running two builds with this. First and foremost, I'm going to be running a basic Blast from the Past build. This is just for my first impression. I really want to see this weapon as it's just normally on its own with Rescue Trooper, some damage bonus, Blast from the Past, not giving it too much help, Assault Ammo Recovery to extend that mag just a little bit. For those who don't know, the ammo that you don't shoot from that perk gets activated, or it gets used when it saves more ammo. So when you save 24% of your ammo, the 24% remaining also has reduced ammo, and it just crunches down to like a 31% overall mag size bonus. It's super nice, and coconuts are just great, and I'm running Blast from the Past, so I figured that made sense. But then I want to run a sledgehammer build because this weapon can be double crit damage, so I think we should give that a go. And then the 6 perks. So I talked to Freight Train, who talked to QA testers, who talked to the developers of the game to understand this 6 perk. Frenzy is actually meant to increase the fire rate of your ranged weapons and the attack speed of your melee weapons. 2 problems there. One, the fire rate does not actually increase with Frenzy as far as I'm aware. Your movement speed does, so that's good. Correction, Editing Beast here to say that the Frenzy perk does actually seem to increase the fire rate. So on the Primal SMG, I've got the Eliminating Mist Monster gives you Frenzy, and the Primal Rifle, I also have the same perk. I'm only going to have one Mist Monster to test here, but you can see the fire rate is this. You know, 9 per second. That's kind of how fast you shoot. But when you kill the Mist Monster, it's clearly faster. Like, you're obviously shooting significantly faster. Everything here dies super quick. Obviously, I'm in an 82 zone, so it's going to kill anything super quick. But you can see the Frenzy perk actually does activate. And I can demonstrate it on That's Not a Mist Monster. And I can demonstrate it on an actual Mist Monster this time that the 5.18 fire rate does not visually change. So watch. Shooting nice and slow. Then we kill it. Clearly shooting faster. Like, it's very, very obviously shooting faster, but the 5.18 fire rate remains the same. So it visually does not look like the perk actually does anything, but in game, the fire rate does obviously increase. And for the Primal Rifle, considering how slow it shoots, that might be a consideration. This isn't a guide video. This is just my first look on the SMG. But for the SMG, I don't know. The extra fire rate goes a long way. I don't think that extra 30% does much, as I said in the video. So that extra fire rate, whether you want to do Mist Monsters or enemies, might be the better way to go for this weapon. And then 2, which would have been my middle finger. So 2 is that when you are using this weapon, you can't switch off of it. When you switch off the primal weapons, the Frenzy perk goes away. So I'm pretty much just going to be using the 30% damage to targets above 85% health. I do think that's the superior perk for hard-hitting weapons like the shotgun or the pistol. However, the SMG is only doing like 20k per hit, maybe more if you crit. That's not that much damage. You know, when they're at like 85+% health, the pistol or the shotgun, which are doing millions of damage, can chunk a huge amount from that. This will not get as much mileage out of that. So I'm saying this even as my first impression, and this is not a guide video, but I'm still saying that Frenzy, I think from either of these options, might be a lot better for the SMG in the future. That's just my opinion though, and we'll see how it performs in game. Luckily enough, we have a Deliver the Bomb mission, which means I'm not going to be stuck with all these fire zones. Hopefully we can find some targets where this weapon will actually do some meaningful damage, as it is locked to nature. Okay, so I shot a crow before recording, so I already know about the spread. Holy crap! The range on this thing! Look how much time it took to kill a normal target. Like, shooting into a crowd is okay, because you're probably going to hit them, but this thing has a shorter range than most shotguns. But the damage is pretty good. Like, if you're actually hitting your shots, let's see if I can just group up enemies here. If you're only shooting what's close to you, really solid. Like, this damage is very impressive, but you need to be very aware of your limited range. All right, fire encampment, so I'm just gonna be focusing on the mist monsters here. Again, you know, solid damage. You're definitely running out of ammo very quickly. It is an SMG. That's actually pretty normal. And this is where I would normally be praising Affliction, because Affliction is really good for hitting large crowds of enemies like this, because they would all be ticking away and they'd be dead by now. Unfortunately, that's not possible. But versus the mist monsters, you can see, especially with that extra damage the mist monsters perk, really good. I mean, it's a bullet hose. Holy crap, you're not even hitting half of your shots, but it's pretty solid. I actually like it. My coconuts ran out by now, and we're still eliminating the Smasher with relative ease. It's actually doing about as well as I hoped. Look at the range on this. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Oh, you have first shot with this? I did not know that. Okay, you know what? With first shot, look at that though. Waiting for the bloom to reset, I can't even kill the nurse. But like, if I go full auto, that's so bad. Don't use this weapon with crack shot. That stability decrease. I don't know if stability is actually recoil or bloom. Either way, it is no good for this weapon. All right, this is a brutal encampment for any weapon, so I take no shame in just pulling out a casual Xenon bow, cleaning up these shielders, and then bullying the fatties with this weapon. So let's get these shielders out of the way, and then let's get the party started. All right, shielders are dead. Propane's coming in. I'm going to eat this coconut for 30 seconds of bonus. Demon Gamer, who called out the encampment, is dropping down his boom base. So this weapon's going to perform a little bit better than normal. But with the boom base active, we could see doing solid damage. Obviously, it doesn't look that way because without Affliction helping. And, you know, this is like what normal SMGs would look like. Like, without Affliction helping and hitting lots of targets at once, it doesn't look like much. But normally with weapons like this, I know some people have complained because I praise Affliction constantly in my videos. But most of these enemies would have been dead like the first time I hit them from Affliction. But you can see, handled it really comfortably. And I know that this is like a Primal pistol. No, this is SMG. I know this is a Primal SMG first look and not a Xenon bow first look. But when you're playing normally, there is no shame in taking out a different weapon like a crowd clearing shotgun like the Maverick or the, what is the other one? The Big Shot, to take out the shielders, because those things are no good for this weapon. It can't shoot through walls. It can't shoot through shielders. So taking care of those hazards can open up the doorway for this weapon to just shred everything in sight, as it did really comfortably. There were even some fire enemies in there, and it had no problem at all. All right, we got a Smasher here. So it looks like he's got full health, which means we'll get the 30%. Let's eat a coconut for the 16%, reload for this 15%. You can see that 30% damage bonus went almost nowhere for this weapon. It barely helped at all, but the weapon itself is actually fairly strong. Affliction, he'd be dead normally, so I don't know if this is shaping up to be my favorite SMG, but honestly, this is a very usable weapon. If you want to switch things up in the future and try out the Primal SMG, that's pretty good. And of course, it has the same perk that all Primal weapons do, where animals will ignore you, and that's a pretty okay bonus too. All right, the defense has begun. What element are we going to deal with? Fire. Okay, so I'm going to be focusing on every normal target I can and just watch them get shredded, which they are doing. That is so satisfying. Flingers, I think, have the same health amount as takers, and so these are going down in a super acceptable amount of time. Oh no, a Propane, what are we gonna do? We're gonna get up close and kill it a little slower than I wish. I am currently missing Affliction. So in the way of comparing this weapon to other SMGs, I'm going to continue to reference how the Affliction perk is amazing, because when you got an enemy on 1 HP like that, by the time you reload, they'd already be dead. So not having that is already a nerf. Obviously, this weapon has a glaring lack of accuracy. That is obvious. If you can get close within like 1 or 2 tiles, which is where most engagements occur, it's okay. You can see at this range, it's kind of negated by just shooting all the way into a fatty. And if you can barrel stuff a mist monster like this, they get deleted very fast, with a little help from the traps, of course. But even here, 2 tiles away, struggling. Luck alone is the only reason that Propane didn't get their shot off, which means when you're not hitting your shots, something like however many shots you miss is just deducted from your DPS. So if you're not hitting half of your shots and you were doing 100,000 damage per second from your weapon damage alone, now you're doing 50,000 damage. And no amount of people subscribing on Twitch, appreciated as it may be, is going to make this weapon any more accurate. Now, without Affliction, without amazing accuracy, you can see it's still doing really well. Almost none of these Propanes have gone off, which is perfectly acceptable. I don't feel like I'm limited by this weapon in any unrecoverable way. Obviously, accuracy, I've been talking about it for 2 minutes. Still pretty good. You just crouch, which does limit your bloom, by the way. That is not something I'm doing on instinct or accident. It actually does help. Let's actually demonstrate that real quick here. If I just shoot off at a distance, you can see this is a normal bloom. It gets out, you know, really, really wide. But if you crouch, it's reduced quite a bit significantly. So like, do that and then stand up. You can see it like actually shrink. It's really nice. So that is awesome. However, a taker can fly out very far away, and that is a huge limitation. Oh, it's so tough. This is like in a BR game where you're shooting an enemy trying not to die, and your bloom is just making you miss half your shots. That's one of the reasons I don't play BR that much. Bloom alone set me off of Fortnite Battle Royale, where I'd be aiming at an enemy in-game with my dot on their chest, my reticle in the middle of their character model, and then half of my bullets just give them a silhouette of the frame of their body, and then I die. It drove me insane. And yeah, that's kind of happening with this weapon as well. Even though in this game a lot of your engagements are a lot closer range, this is functioning great. I would really like to enjoy this with the Frenzy perk and see how that performs, because I think that would change a lot. I did tame a wolf at some point in this game. I have no idea which one of these is mine, but the fact that all of our wolves are on the ground shows you why I'm barely talking about it. You know, like I mentioned briefly earlier, one of the perks of this weapon is that animals will ignore you if you're holding it, and that's nice because they're annoying, but it also means that, like, you also get that frenzy perk that is meant to buff your tamed pet. Well, tamed pets are so garbage in this game in their current state that they're just useless. Like that's a non-perk in my example. That wolf I revived is basically dead in a second here, and that is not a very useful teammate. There's no amount of frenzy that is going to save that pet and make it usable. So I don't really consider that a viable reason to use this weapon. If they buff animals in the future, that could be really cool, but right now that's not the case. So let's go to the other loadout. Let's put double crit damage on this thing. Let's put Sledgehammer in the lead and see how this does with a totally rockin' out build, because I think it is going to be a lot of fun. All right, we got a very basic totally rockin' out build. Like I said, Sledge is in the lead. We got Battle Beat. I'm using Subwoofers just so we can activate it whenever we want. Then we got Assault Ammo Recovery, as mentioned. Assault damage is to support this time, and then Lock to Reload to give us a little damage bonus when we reload. I don't like to use wafers and coconuts. I think that's kind of annoying to have that much going on. And then finally, we're going to switch that crit rating to a crit damage, giving us a 10% chance to crit and making us totally reliant on totally rockin' out. In our current version of the game, totally rockin' out is a little bugged, where if you use it, people will send bits in chat, which is a good glitch. I'm okay with that, but the real bug is that it will not reactivate until it decays all the way. So what happens is you eat a wafer, 8 seconds goes down, then you can reactivate totally rockin' out. Normally, whenever you eat a wafer or activate Battle Beat or Fumble or whatever, it should just reactivate no matter how long it's been. It's a weird bug that should influence the performance a little bit, but it's not too bad. So with that in mind, let's hop in game and check it out. All right, we got a smasher, double crit damage. Let's see how we do with the wafer active. Yeah, that's pretty much what I expected. Even against a fire enemy, it's doing pretty well, but as the wafer goes away, it's doing less and less. But did it just one-shot that enemy? Okay, yeah, it doesn't really seem, no matter what element it is, with double crit damage, everything dies. Well, what do we got going on over here? We got a blaster, shooting stuff. Let's just eat. Wow, 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 wow. That is a really impressive amount of damage. I am a fan. For those of you who are ignoring the alerts like I am, I do record these on stream. Twitch link down below if you ever want to be a part of the fun. I get back to everybody after these clips are done. I'm not ignoring them. I'm just trying to focus on this amazing weapon doing a crazy amount of damage. Even with totally rockin' out not active, this is an awesome amount of damage. Let me just block that real quick. Activate totally rockin' out for real this time and just delete these guys, hopefully. Ah! Oh, that's a trick. See, it didn't reactivate totally rockin' out. It didn't visually show up, so I don't actually know if I'm even using the team perk, but it doesn't seem to matter because I'm getting lucky, avoiding all the damage, and everything is dead. Wow! Wow, 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 wow. For those of you who did not click off from my first impressions and stay to the second part of the video, you are seeing the true power of the Primal SMG. Double crit damage is gonna make any weapon better. I'm not numb to that reality, but wow, it goes a long way for this weapon. All right, we've seen it shred a lot of stuff, but how does a taker... Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I expected. All right, the taker died immediately. How about a smasher? Is it going to survive for any amount of... Nope, not really. All right, well, let's just get the defense started. All right, before we get the defense started, Archer was pointing out a water smasher. I imagine this thing's going to go down as, yeah, pretty much as fast as the physical one did. That crit for a lot of damage. Holy guacamole. Oh, God, they started the defense. Let's get up there. Ah! Okay, so there are spawns down here, and I do believe this is a fire defense again, which is the same as last game, and honestly, if we're just comparing against last game, that's fine. I'm going to need big targets to really show this weapon off. Last time we got lucky, had quite a lot of mist monsters, but we've kind of seen how this can perform already, and it's kind of insane. This is definitely the way to go. Thank you for subscribing, Robert. Again, recording on stream, it's a lot of fun to do that. I've considered, like, muting alerts when I make these videos, but I don't know. I feel like if you're supporting the channel and you get a chance to come through in a video, it's not too big of a deal. Plus, I enjoy the casual environment of these videos because I'm just a guy checking out a weapon for the first time. This is not a guide. This is nothing serious. We're just seeing how it goes, and it's actually so much better. That double crit damage makes a lot of sense, I think, because obviously without Toy Rocking Out active 24/7, it's a lot harder to take full advantage of it. And the boom base, by the way, does bring me up to a higher base chance to crit, which helps a lot. So if you have a teammate helping you, that can go a long way. I can see it's active now. But look at that. When you're hitting for double crit damage, when you are hitting very hard on a per bullet basis, I'm shooting fire enemies and they're going down relatively easily. Oh yeah, a little Ben's war cry for you too. And obviously I'm getting help from the ceiling electric fields above me, but this weapon with its inaccuracy, if you can take advantage of the bullet damage by having it hit extra hard, that goes a long way, and I think really helps this weapon a lot. And yeah, that weirdly enough might be the recommended way to run this. I'm obviously going to need to use this more, think on it more, and the best perks video will obviously have my final recommendation, but I don't think the wafer actually activated Toy Rocking Out right there. But at least as on a first impression basis, I actually think this might make sense. I normally don't recommend double crit damage. In fact, in this instance, I might do the normal recommendation. It's the same thing that almost every weapon enjoys, and that's just a basic crit build, you know, like crit rating, crit damage, then running Toy Rocking Out on top of it to make sure that you crit more often. That would be a lot more consistent and a lot less reliable on having wafers available. And considering the Toy Rocking Out is kind of bugged right now, it'd be a lot less reliant on the perk in general, which is kind of nice. But assuming it's functioning as it should in the future, this is actually an insane way to go, and really a weapon that I'm happy about. I like it when they add new weapons. Turn on my fan if you can hear that, I'm sorry. I like it when they add new weapons that are actually viable. You know, like the Primal Shotgun actually disappointed me. Its single target damage was kind of crappy. It was not that great. It was ironic that the Primal Pistol did the Primal Shotgun's job better. Like, why is that a thing? And then the SMG, of course, is working hopefully as I would have intended, I guess, as well as I hoped, is what I was trying to say. Because yes, the inaccuracy is a thing that nerfs this weapon, but if you can get up nice and close, you remove that nerf and you can just see how much damage it does. Like, I'm not even shying away from fire targets. This is great when the team perk is activated. Obviously, I'm struggling here, but I think my last wafer just got wasted, and I think we've already seen enough of deleting smashers and such. So, yeah, definitely a good weapon. My first impression is very positive. I think the perk options are fun on this. Hopefully in the future, Frenzy works as intended. And hopefully in the future, Epic doesn't release nature weapons during a fire season again. This weapon would be very usable in a water season, but that's not where we're at. So I don't know what the thinking was there, but regardless, I'm happy with the weapons they've sent out here. So if you guys want to see more, you know, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the videos on the end screen here in a second. I'll see you guys in the next one. Twitch link down below once again if you guys want to come hang out. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye. And then